This is a Transportation TV News Update Special Report, Part 2, coverage of the AASHTO Annual Meeting. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting. Federal Highway Administrator Victor Mendez and Federal Transit Administrator Peter Rogoff took questions and addressed issues from the CEOs of AASHTO's 52-member transportation departments Monday, October 26th. Mendez and Rogoff assured AASHTO members that their agencies would work through what the CEOs described as ARA's time and resource-consuming record-keeping requirements. In separate interviews, both men praised the job states are doing to create jobs. But Mr. Rogoff says that's just part of the equation.
I think one of the things that gets lost in the discussion of new jobs is how many jobs we've saved. When we've gone around to transit agencies around the country, a lot of them were really facing severe cutbacks on operations at a time when transit ridership was growing and continues to grow. They were cutting back available transit service because of dried up state and local revenues. So the Recovery Act has enabled a lot of them to put capital money into preventive maintenance, keep people on the job, reduce service cutbacks, and that I think is the untold story, is how many jobs we saved in addition to how many new jobs we created.
I asked Administrator Mendez about funding the next authorization bill.
Some people would have said, well, let's raise the gas tax. The administration has been very clear. Right now, given the economy, it's not a good time to be raising taxes. 18 months from now, the world may be different. And so those are the issues that the President, the administration, Congress are going to have to settle over the next X number of months. And once they do that, we're fully prepared to engage in the solutions, the actual strategies that are going to be necessary to move us into the 21st century.
Watch both interviews in their entirety on View from the White House, a new transportation TV channel dedicated to the administration's point of view on transportation. Also at the AASHTO Annual Meeting, more than 24 committee meetings and workshops were held to address the most pressing transportation issues of the day. This session gave AASHTO members the very latest details on the unprecedented $8 billion in federal ARA grants being made available to the states for high-speed and intercity passenger rail projects. Applications have been filed from 24 states worth $50 billion to advance high-speed rail corridor programs, and 214 applications have been received from 34 states worth $7 billion for corridor planning and smaller projects. Karen Ray, Deputy Administrator for the Federal Railroad Administration, told conference participants that while the FRA had hoped to award the first grants in September of '09, the overwhelming demand has slowed the process and the final date for distribution is pending.
Our deadline for obligating the funds was 2012, and that was because everyone, Congress and the President, recognized this was a brand new program. This is a program that didn't even exist several months before. The federal government intends to partner very aggressively with the states as our primary partners, the freights and Amtrak as other critical partners in delivering this program.
Finding real solutions to greenhouse gas emissions was another key issue discussed. AASHTO is committed to playing a leading role in the effort of reducing U.S. GHG emissions 80% by 2050. Autos and light-duty trucks contribute 16.5% of the U.S. GHG, and with climate change legislation being debated, state leaders are looking for real solutions. Dan Sperling, director of the Institute of Transportation Studies at UC Davis and author of the book 2 Billion Cars, served on one of the expert panels. In an interview with Transportation TV, Sperling said technology must lead the way out of this global crisis.
Technological innovation is clearly the principal strategy for reducing our energy use and reducing our carbon footprint. There's no doubt about that. But having said that, it requires a lot of innovation, and it also requires a lot of change in behavior. We have to, electric cars are going to have shorter range, so households have to get used to the idea that they'll trade off the cars. Whoever's doing local trips will use the electric car. Maybe they have a little neighborhood car just for local use that they can use, and then they'll have the bigger SUV for the longer trips.
Sperling says new laws and regulations must also be passed to give people and businesses an incentive to change. Because, as the title of his book implies, more carbon-based vehicles are going to be added to the global fleet, which means more GHG.
And the world right now is over 1 billion vehicles in the world, and any projection you look at shows a steep increasing trajectory. And so if we think we have problems now with oil consumption, with climate change, it's only going to get much worse. And so the point of it is that we've really got to engage in the transportation sector to figure out how to create a more sustainable transportation system.
AASHTO members got a glimpse of the future at what Caltrans calls its Innovative Mobility Showcase. Caltrans Director Randy Iwasaki took Transportation TV on a tour.
In the back, you'll see that we have solar panels, solar charging facilities for the next generation of electric cars. You have a Tesla, the famous Tesla car that's very fast, very sleek. It has a 220-mile range, and so it's better than the last generation of electric cars. You have a transportation management center of the future. It's a mobile transportation management center. In California, we have disasters like earthquakes, wildfires, and things like that. And so sometimes you need to be on site providing up-to-date traveler information.
The AASHTO Annual Meeting 2009, giving members access to top lawmakers, administration officials, and industry experts to address critical issues like ARA, high-speed and intercity passenger rail, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and climate change legislation. That's the Transportation News Update Special Report. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting.